Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
You know, this is sad, but it is so true today. Only in America. Only in America could the people who believe in balancing the budget and sticking by the country's constitution, they will be thought of as extremists. How true. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America. America! We need a patriot to call in with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning. Oh, that lovely lady, Kate Smith, and she also has a postage stamp with her picture on it. Good morning, everybody. I'm Zeb Bell at Zeb at the Ranch, and our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. Thank you very much. Along with some of our great advertisers, including Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call them, get on the route service, get rid of your garbage, 734-6969. And our friends at Valley White Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Everything for the farm, the home, and the ranch at Valley White Home and Ranch. Right now, let's check with Wheels over at our main studios. Do we have a Pledge of Allegiance person?
Yes, sir, we do.
Oh, turn them on. Good morning.
Well, good morning, Zeb.
Oh, it's you. You sneaky little Dickens, you. All right, give us the pledge, please.
Will do. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very well done. Thank you, Wheels. Hey, by the way, Ted's Diesel Electric is moving to 635 21st Street in Heyburn, right there on El Fresco Road. Owned by Doug Martin, good old boy. He can rebuild starters, alternators, generators, anything right now. He also sells new. You get a hold of him today at Ted's Diesel and Electric, moving to 635 21st Street in Heyburn. It's time for the weather, and the weather is brought to us by Cheney Flooring and Home Design. Wonderful, wonderful people. I'm telling you, I've learned so much about home decor and changing things, kitchen construction, carpet and flooring, newly refurbished furniture from them since they've been on the program. And they're really get-up-and-goers. I mean, they're always doing some kind of a project over there at Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. The number to call, 678-6945. Look for the blue door. All right, here comes the weather forecast.
Here is your weather forecast as we hit midweek stride. Looks like mostly cloudy skies for today. A little bit on the breezy side, not too shabby, but the thing is, afternoon rain showers and thunderstorms are in the forecast. High of 88 with an overnight low of 63. Supposed to be clearing out overnight. Tomorrow, mostly sunny skies, slightly breezy. High of 91 with an overnight low of 64. Pretty much the same for Friday. Sunny skies and low 90s. And as we move on into the weekend, the winds are going to be picking up out of the west. Sun's going to be shining, but temperature's going to drop to about the mid-80s. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you very much, Gina. Well done. Cheney Flooring and Home Design, bringing you the weather as they do every morning right here on Zeb at the Ranch. 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door. Wow, we got a lot of things cooking here. Today we got some interesting guests coming on. Dave Beagle from Indianapolis, Indiana is going to be on. Dan Kish from the Institute of Energy Research talking about the absolute idiocy of Obama's green energy program. We've got Charlie Howell coming on from Jerome County Commission talking about a cemetery district. And then my dear friend, former state representative Bert Stevenson, telling us all about the Idaho water situation. So don't you go away. We got a lot of things cooking for this morning. We are going to get into some of our stories momentarily. The first one absolutely is sickening, but stay tuned. We'll curdle your milk. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. The number to call, 678-0459. You know, they've got the filters for your air conditioning units. It won't be long, and we'll be talking about the filters for your furnaces, too. But, you know, they've got all your heating and electrical needs, and they put the time and effort in to do the job for you. Stop in, see them today, or give them a call, 678-0459. They're open 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday. Ramsey Heating and Electric, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Real quick, too, one of our great advertisers that I want to highlight is Valleywide Home and Ranch. Yes, they are very, very progressive in their thinking about what you need, what you want, what you got to have for the farm, the ranch, and the home. They've got it all for you at Valleywide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. And, you know, like I said the other day, and it kind of struck a fire inside of me that I want to go fishing. I'm just going to take a day or two and go some secluded spot and throw a line in the water. If anything's caught, fine. If not, I'm going to sleep. Anyway, they've got your fishing supplies. They got all your licenses. They've got everything for you. Your clothing, you name it, it's all there. And especially for the fairgoers, they've got all your equipment and clothing needs. So stop in today at Valleywide Home and Ranch. Local people serving you at 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Okay? Now, listen to this. Now, I'm not making this up. I heard this one this morning, and it's disgusting. A murderer gets sent to prison in California, and he is set up for life without parole, okay? He gets sent to prison, and then this he decides that he wants to be a she. Now, stay with me. So the liberals say we can't deny the it's choice to be a she. So we are told we have to pay to make he a she. How much? Over $25,000. Now, isn't this absolutely asinine? One of the best things I heard about this story this morning was a direct quote that came in on one of the emails while they were talking about this story and said, he was a he when he committed the murder, and that's how he should be treated while he's staying in prison. But you know, I know a lot of folks, come branding time, could really take care of this mess real quick and save the taxpayers $25,000. This is disgusting, and it's just a sign of the times. What are your thoughts about us, we, the taxpayers, we the people, having to pay $25,000 for a sex change to make the it from a he to a she? Unbelievable. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to remind you that next week on Thursday, we are going to be at Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland in Burley, the home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch. We're going to be there at 11:30 next Thursday, the 20th. And by golly, we've got a lot of gift certificates to give away from Stokes Food Center, Hanson Mortuary, Waters Gift, and more. And we've got Walmart, and we've got Smith's Foods. Holy smokes, we got a whole bunch of gift certificates. Everybody be there at 11:30 at 611 Overland and Burley, Denny's Restaurant. And they've also got a new location, too, at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Denny's Restaurant. It is good. All right, give us a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. What do you think about this? Come on, speak up. This is our money. This is our money out of our pockets, our taxes, going to such an absolute waste, providing and paying for sex changes for those that want to be either a he or a she, or vice versa. Absolutely ridiculous. All right, another story coming on. You can't be serious, please. Who in their right mind, or any mind at all? Now think about this, and think about your friends and neighbors. Who could possibly want the Queen of Lowness, and she is the Queen of Lowness, Hillary Clinton, as president? You know, look at the situation, look at the scenario, look at what she's doing, look at what she's done, look at the past, look at the family, look at all the scenarios. Holy cow! And now it's found out, and it's found, that her server did, her email server, etc., her server did have some top secret emails in her private server. This is illegal. You can't do that. That's our information. And they were top secret. She shouldn't have been playing around with that on a private email server. It's illegal and a harm to the United States. Now, the Justice Department is looking into it, but I noticed that Chuck Grassley, Senate Judiciary Chairman, said that he had to call out the FBI and the Department of State for not doing enough to get Clinton's emails. Why are they not going after this woman? Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hey, allow me to interject a minute. Here on the news, I had to laugh because it looks like Hillary might fight the bullet again here. The Democrats must be pretty worried about her making it into the presidential race, because now they say they're talking to Joe Biden again about running. And, of course,
you know,
the communist already has more points than her.
Now, wait a minute. Stop right there. It's laughable, but it's not even really funny. We got an avowed communist that's running against Hillary to show how low she is. He took the lead in New Hampshire. He's got 44% over 37%. We are in trouble in River City. I'm telling you.
Well, we got to admit that this is what the Democrats want, and so either way, we're cheated. I was going to say something else, but we're cheated, and so either way, we just got to be happy for what we get out of this in token, and I can't help it, Zeb. I know it's serious, but I just get a kick out of it. Obama knocked her out, and now it looks like somebody else might.
Isn't that amazing, though, that what you just said is so true? A virtual unknown from Illinois came out of the woodwork, literally, a senator that had a very poor voting record, and propelled himself ahead of Hillary. And boy, I mean, it was like a NASCAR race. He found a hot spot and jumped right past her. And now we've got an avowed communist and socialist. Bernie Sanders is in the lead. I'm telling you, if I were Hillary, I'd not only throw the towel in, I'd just jump in myself. She is in bad shape.
Yeah, at least he admits it. I mean, he's not one to do all the things she's done in the background and under the table. So maybe he has one thing going for him. He's honest.
You know, but let me ask you, though, stop right there. We can chuckle and we can tee-hee, but the seriousness of this situation is such that with all the people in America that are so dependent upon government to gimme, I want, aren't you just a little bit more than worried that the idiots might elect someone like either Hillary or Bernie Sanders?
Oh, sure. And you know, I try to take it a step at a time and just count what blessings we have, because, yeah, we're headed for an election that might be the real turning point. I mean, we've had enough of them.
Oh, I agree.
Just have one that'll finalize the whole deal for us, and I think the one thing I can get out of this is the Clintons may go up in smoke totally after this, and that's the only thing that, I'm looking at as being good to take out of this.
Yeah, but every time the Clintons have a fire, talking about smoke, it seems like somebody's standing by with a bucket of water to put out the problem, and they still seem to maintain going on.
Yeah, and I think I guess the positive point for me is at least the people tend to look like they're realizing that, hey, we can't stoop this low to get the Clintons back in either. We're talking about the Bushes, and we've had enough of them, but I think people are starting to say, I think we've had enough of the Clintons too, and I'm just hoping that's our first step back.
Oh, I hope so. But let me ask you one quick question, short answer. Do you know, honestly, within your circle of friends or acquaintances, anyone that would advocate Hillary for president?
No, I don't.
God bless you and your friends. Thank you so much. All right.
God bless you.
Have a good day. Thank you. Woo, I was worried he'd say yes. Thank you. We don't want any Hillary Clinton supporters around here. Good heavens. We got enough of those dingy Democrats as it is right now on the liberal side of the aisle. Oh, my goodness. They worship the high heels she stands in. Calls are welcome. 436-2244. 1-866-927-4587. Want to remind you about our friends at K&R Rental, 256 South, 600 West of Burley. They've got everything: air compressors, pivots, tractors, forklifts, concrete tools, backhoes, garden equipment. They've got it all at K&R Rental. These are wonderful people serving you and inviting you to attend the Cassia County Fair and Pro Rodeo, the 17th through the 22nd. Also, Rain for Rent, 134 South, 600 West of Paul. Rain for Rent is the leading provider of liquid handling solutions, from pumps, tanks, filtration devices to pipe and hoses. They provide everything you need for your project and keep it on track. Hey, I'm telling you what, they know. They know what's going on. Get a hold of them today. Rain for Rent, 134 South, 600 West in Paul, 438-5065. And last but not least, also urging you to be at the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo, Pickett Equipment Company. My old buddy Steve lives right around the corner and down the field and across the pasture. 976 East Main in Burley, and they've got the most innovative bean equipment in the world, and they ship all over the world. Get a hold of them today, 678-0855. Pickett Equipment Company on East Main in Burley. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I've got another story that is I was so outraged when I heard about this morning, and I can tell that my dear friend George Mass and others are going to just clench their fists, and they're going to be outraged like I was. I'll get to that in just a moment. Don't forget, too, Minicasia Sales, 1321 East Main Street in Burley. They've got everything. They've got all your Western windows. They got your tartar gates and panels. Oh, my goodness. They've got your carpet. They've got everything over there for you to fix up your home and your property. You get a hold of them today. They are the sponsor of Dr. History every Tuesday at 10:06. Zach and the crew, nice people, very nice people, at Minicasia Sales, 1321 East Main Street in Burley. Now, hold on to your hats. I could not believe this. Newsweek magazine, and I've got a copy of a abbreviated part of the story right here in front of me. Newsweek magazine had an article in Newsweek that was written by, if you want to call him a writer, Rick Perlstein. And what basically he said was that he called the POW-MIA flag racist. Let me say that again so it soaks in. This so-called writer and commentator for Newsweek magazine. By the way, Newsweek is one of the trashiest, low-life news magazines out there. It's just faded away into obscurity, and I guess they're doing something to try to stimulate their sales and their subscriptions, etc. But he came out and called the POW-MIA flag racist. And then through the rest of the article, he never really explained why. And at parts of the article that I have in front of me, he even tried to compare racism with the Confederate flag and the POW-MIA flag as being on the same level, equally racist. Now, as I said, I know a lot of good old boys right here in this area that would probably love to have 2 minutes in the same little 8x12 room as this writer saying the POW-MIA flag is racist. I can't imagine where this country is headed. You know, we've got these liberal sleazeballs that are out to denigrate and destroy any last bastion of respect in this country. And now going after the POW-MIA flag is racist and demanding that it not be flown anymore? Now, whether or not this gets any traction, whether or not there are enough of kooks and crackpots out there that would sign on to this absolutely brain-dead idea, I don't know. But just think about it. Think what it does. Think what our foreign adversaries are thinking about this country. They're thinking right now probably, gotcha, you're falling apart internally. And as old as I am, I recall vividly the words of former Premier of Russia, Nikita Khrushchev. We will take you down without even firing a shot. We're doing it ourselves. We're tearing apart the fabric of the greatest country ever on the face of the earth, the United States of America. And you get people like this Rick Perlstein comparing the POW-MIA flag to a racist flag. What are your thoughts? Come on. Don't let me down on this. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting for your call that I know is coming in, while you're dialing right now, I can feel it. I also want to remember and remind you about Mount Harrison Audiology. And they offer a complete wellness program. And you check out your hearing today. What? What did he say, Martha? Well, I'll tell you what. Don't worry about the what's and missing something or not hearing something on television or whatever. Go and call today for a hearing screening at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, 312-0957. That number again, 312-0957. Mount Harrison Audiology, right behind the Minidoka Hospital across from the emergency room. And this is a wonderful lady, doctor of audiology, that absolutely is phenomenal. I have never been around anybody with as much knowledge as she has, and she knows hearing. Give her a call today, 312-0957, Mount Harrison Audiology. Okay? Go do it right now. Don't forget. All right, give me a call. What do you think of this? I mean, my goodness, saying that the POW-MIA flag, and I have 1, 2, 3, let me take a look around here. I've got 4 of them in my office right now. And I guarantee you, I'm going to talk to George and others. I think we ought to have a concentrated effort to put many, many more up. And in people's yards, on their front porches, in their windows, everything. And I am sick and tired of these crackpot liberals coming out with these absolutely loony bin ideas and trying to take away our freedoms. You can't fly the flag here, the U.S. red, white, and blue. You can't have a POW-MIA flag. It's racist. My goodness, when are we going to stand up and fight back? Give me a call. Come on, give me a jingle right now. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Hey, by the way, if you've got horses and you know you want to take care of them, and naturally taking care of them is a part of your ownership, and shoeing is very, very important, shoeing and trimming. Well, I know a guy, Josh Mays, and his son, Wiley and the Wild Bunch. I love that young man. He's quite a guy. JMW Horseshoeing, and all you have to do to get your horses taken care of and all shot up and trimmed up, 432-2260 or 410-1830.
Recently.
Why did that come on the air, Wheels? Okay, don't forget J&W Horseshoeing. And, of course, the numbers again, 432-2260 and 410-1837. From corrective shoeing to anything you need done to trim them up and take care of them, from draft horses to ponies, you give them a call today, okay? Got you covered. All right, calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Yesterday, Donald Trump was in Michigan. Now, I have been critical of some of Donald Trump's statements, some of his stands on certain issues. I do think, and I said it at the beginning of the week, that I thought he was set up by Fox News, Megyn Kelly. I didn't like the questioning. I didn't like it the way it was phrased. I thought it was sleazy and low-classed. But then also, if you'll remember the program, I said his answer was also a little sleazy and low-classed. But yesterday in Michigan, I listened to the speech. And prior to the speech, I listened to the press conference. And I have to say, and I mean this, that everything that Trump answered or said yesterday was very, very positive for the United States. I thought he nailed it when describing and explaining certain issues and how they would be addressed by him in a future administration. And I thought he brought down the House with a theme of restoring pride in America. Now, I know what you're saying. Oh, you're just pro-Trump. No, I'm not just pro-Trump. I'm saying that I'm critical of all the candidates because there's many I don't even think should be standing up at the stage. Many should not be on the stage. And many will be weeded out in the next 8 to 10 days, I assure you. But what happened the other day with Bernie Sanders, the commie from back east that's running for the Democratic nomination? And by the way, he is, again, like I said, he's ahead in New Hampshire, 44% to 37% over Hillary Clinton. But he was up at the stage and on the podium in Seattle, and a group of these absolute misfits that are a waste of time from the Black Lives Matter, they came up on this podium and they literally pushed Bernie Sanders off the stage and away from his microphone. They took the microphone and started their rant and their chant about Black Lives Matter. Now, what kind of an image and perception was that? Number one, in the case of any onslaught or offensive movement, Bernie cut and run. He cut and ran. That's what he did. He's weak. And it was brought out in the press conference yesterday by Donald Trump, and I agree with this 100%. When you have a rally, you being a candidate for any office, and some group of nitwits tries to take and or push away your voice from that podium, you fight back. Now, that's not the first time this has happened. Go back to when Ronald Reagan was running. Way back in those years, and he stopped the whole press conference and the whole question and answer period, and he says, listen, I paid for this microphone, and I will answer. And the same should have been done for Bernie Sanders, but he weakened and he walked off the stage. And Trump said that no matter if it's Black Lives Matter group or whomever, nobody will take away his microphone. What are your thoughts on that? Give me a call. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Come on, get on the line, give me a call. By the way, all your equipment needs are at Berry Equipment and Rental. They've got all the equipment, and when I say all, it's really true, all the equipment to get any job done right. All you have to do is just give them a call or stop in. They've got 3 locations to serve you. excuse me for the cough, on Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, South Lincoln and Jerome, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. I'm telling you, Eli and Nick and the whole crew, they've got all the big loaders. Man, they got a couple of those big Doosan loaders out there in front of the location right there at Burley. And, of course, all the Coyote tractors and the Bobcats, everything you need to get the job done. So stop in. As again, I said, the locations are Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, South Lincoln and Jerome, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Berry Equipment and Rental. You stop in and see them today. What happened to the cow, for heaven's sakes? It sounded like it died. Good morning, you're on the air.
That cow have been grazing in tall grass, but she's relaxed.
I'll tell you what, she's been probably grazing in some poison ivy and she's itching or something. It didn't sound good to me.
You know, I don't know why the Republicans feel like they have to play fair, because nothing, is done to them fairly. They seem to still have a conscience. I mean, thank God, that's what we need. But they seem to be shamed so easily into, apologizing or admitting they're wrong. And I say, okay, you can admit you're wrong, but stand your ground and speak your piece. And if somebody's out of line, you have the right to confront them and maybe shut them down a little. It's all right. We're desperate. I mean, hell, if the last time we heard a politician say something that had any substance to it was Ronald Reagan, I mean, are we desperate or what?
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, here you are. Let's assume that you're running for political office, and you're up at a podium, and you're making a speech to your proposed constituents to go vote for you, and what your format is, and what your beliefs are, and a group of kooks and crackpots that want to do nothing but disrupt, they come up and they push you aside and take your microphone. Now, I think you and I possibly would just all of a sudden bop somebody on the nose with that microphone and say, get off the stage, and I would call security, but never relinquish to the bad people. That's a complete sign of weakness and capitulation. Never, ever do that.
Well, this is exactly, we concede every day. We concede, and our sovereignty, you and I, the state of Idaho, per se, is being squeezed down. And you're going to say, well, there's only a few states left that seem to have any common sense and any leaders that seem to care. And so, I guess we have got to, you can never, it's just like the other day, my son and I were talking, and something occurred, and, you felt like, we dragged that guy out of the truck and work him over. Well, I says, yes, but see, that can never happen anymore, because the police are there. The men used to go out and settle things like men, and then they went on, and they took whatever they ended up with. Yeah. But not now.
Yeah, I just, there's a difference here. Somebody earlier this morning I was talking to back east said, well, when they took over the microphone at Bernie Sanders' event, it was just an exercise of free speech. No, it wasn't. And I got into an argument with this person. I said, that wasn't an exercise in free speech. It was a diminishment of Bernie Sanders' free speech, even though I can't stand what he says. He had paid for the time and effort to put the podium up there and everything else to talk to his constituency. And taking away his microphone was nothing more than a theft. And I said he should have never taken the microphone. He should have taken the microphone back, and if need be, used force with his people or whatever to make sure that it didn't happen again. And that's the point that Trump was making last night in his speech. He said, I will never allow this to happen, whether it's my security people or me. I will never let a sign of weakness like that take any part of my administration.
Well, think of it this way. If it does come down to Hillary or Trump,
oh boy,
you say to yourself, okay, ultimately, who is going to draw in independence. I mean, we still got to win. We've got to win. And, it would be perfect to have Ted Cruz or whatever, I guess, in my opinion. I realize that that's not everybody's opinion. But, you see, in the end, we have got to win, period. And we don't want to think that we might end up with something less than what we want. But that might be the case because, like I've said in the past, in the end, Mitt Romney would have been great compared to what has happened to this country.
I agree with you, Randy, but I'll tell you something right now. I honestly believe that as far as Donald Trump is concerned, yes, he has some rough edges, very rough edges, but he has set politics on its backside. And the reason that's a good thing is that there's a lot of public awareness as to how trashy and how full of lack of communication with their constituents politicians really are. I think it's a good thing that Trump is doing what he's doing, whether he wins or loses. I think it's going to force the next politician from the GOP to hold a higher standard of what they're doing for the people.
Yeah, well, he opens up the dialogue, and the press, they are not quite as arrogant against him because he stands there and shuts them down. And now I realize the Megyn Kelly thing, that she kind of asked for it. He gave it back. They're trying to say that the women are offended. I don't know. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. I don't. Women are smarter than that.
I certainly hope so, but not on the left side of the aisle. I'm just really concerned about whether any of them have the gray matter to graduate from kindergarten, crackers and milk. I've got to run, Randy. See you later, buddy. Thank you. All right, buddy. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. There's another story that I have to take time and tell you about, and it's so frustrating as to how this woman could possibly be a mother. And we're going to talk about that in just a moment. Stand by. I want you to remember Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Oh, my, what a staff they've got. Nick Greenwell heads up all the physical therapists there, and they've got a staff of physical therapists that absolutely know all the sports medicine, know all the exercises, know about how to get you feeling better by using that hydrotherapy pool with the treadmill. They know, and they can help you get back to feeling and being you. All you have to do is just make an appointment today. 678-1191. That number again, 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. They're waiting to help you. We're going to do a quick weather right now, and then I'm going to tell you this absolutely sick story coming up here in just a minute about this mother and her children. And first and foremost, we're going to have the weather, and the weather is brought to you by Mad River Laser, 502 East Street in Rupert. I believe we're going to be talking to them over there at Mad River Laser tomorrow. Well, they've got all the name and logos they can put on your businesses and all your business clothing and everything, the sweatshirts, the caps, the jackets, the t-shirts, everything. And nobody does the job they do. Wow, they are good. Mad River Laser, 502 East Street in Rupert, right there on the square. Stop in and see them today. Right now, here is the weather.
Weather forecast for today as we finally hit midweek. Looks like mostly cloudy skies. We do have a 20% chance of rain showers and thunderstorms for today. High of 88, tonight low of 63. Tomorrow mostly sunny with a high of 91. And for Friday, sunny and 92. Right now it is 66 in Rupert and 73 in Twin.
Excellent weather. She usually uses...
I'm flying by the seat of my pants. We're having some computer issues right now, so I'm having to rebuild your entire...
No, don't apologize, but listen to me for a minute real quick. Normally you say, no, that's the weather for 7th Ranch, and when you talk to me live, I got to tell you, it scared me just a little bit.
Yeah, I'm actually talking to you live. We're having some computer issues right now, so I'm trying to get all of that kind of figured out. So right now, everything is live. And
you mean to tell me that you are actually having computer issues? I thought that only happened with Hillary.
No, it happens here every once in a while.
My goodness, just don't tell the government where you put the server.
I promise.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you've got a phone call.
Okay, thanks. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. You know, one of the worst things that I can think of that's happened to this country is Facebook. You know, like this little deal up there in Seattle that the socialist is putting on. All these black folks, and I assume that's all there is because that's what they call their organization, is all they got to do is use that network through Facebook, and they can reach clear across the world.
Well, it can be a good thing. Well, it can be a good thing and a bad thing. Now, thanks to Jean over at the station, she takes care of my Facebook account, etc. I just kind of rely on her. It can be a good thing and a bad thing. It can be negative. It can be positive. Anything in our society today, Keith, anything, and you know this is true, can be used as a negative or a positive. It's the people, it's the character, it's the personality. I'm not going to go out and condemn it. I'm not going to say nobody should be on it. I'm not going to say it's all insidious and bad because it's not. It's how people treat and use things, and you know that as well as I do.
That's true, but it's just not part of our time, I don't think. I'm old-fashioned. If I want to talk to somebody, I'll call them on the telephone.
Well, I am too. I'm old-fashioned, and I don't like a lot of technocracy. I don't like to be involved in it. There are those that do. Now, am I wrong? No, I'm not wrong. It's just that I don't want to waste time sitting in a chair, whether it's texting or whether it's doing something on the computer, whether it's doing something on Facebook. I am a moving kind of a person. I want to be up. I got to be going, whether it's saddling a horse or going out and working in the barn. I want to be moving, but I also have respect for those that do that type of thing, and there are certain parameters that need to be, I think, held accountable for. If you do something in negativity that's going to hurt somebody or defame somebody, then that's bad. But if you use it in a positive source, I think it's great. So I think there's pros and cons on both sides, but it all goes back into the actual use.
Well, the one problem that I have is if somebody, say somebody talks about my friend Bell negatively on that, and it goes all over the world, that's like that analogy about the pillow. When you go out in the wind and you slash the pillow open and the feathers go everywhere.
Yeah.
How do you gather them up, even though you were entirely in the right?
Well, you know, I've had that happen, Keith. I've had it happen quite a bit over the last couple of years. There's been a bunch of kooks and crackpots that have written things that are so outlandish, you wouldn't believe some of the verbiage that they put out about me and my family. I mean, absolutely crazy stories. But you know what? I can't fight them. I don't want to fight them. I mean, in the long run, it's all going to come to fruition as to what was honest and what was a lie. And they have a right of their free speech, even though it is a lie. And I think in the long run, it's going to prove out and pan out to be that way. I don't have time, nor do I want to take the time to point my finger at each and every one of these liberal sleazes and condemn them. I've got better things to do, and hopefully, just like maggots, they'll crawl under a rock and eat some dead meat. I don't care about attacking them because I've got better things to do.
Yeah, I can remember when email first became popular, it was really a good tool because a corporation could send out a memo to, 50, 60, 100 people about a meeting or something like that, and look at the time it saved. It was a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
As long as it's not inflammatory and hurts other folks. But I believe this deal in Seattle was orchestrated real well, and I think most of it was created through Facebook.
Well, again, there's positives and negatives on everything, but I never would have been what Bernie Sanders did was wrong. And in hindsight, he probably realizes it was wrong. He showed weakness. He showed instability. He didn't show that he was ready to stand up for his views, and he let people overrun him. And that's not what America needs. God bless you for your call. I appreciate it. Thank you much.
You bet. Bye-bye.
Okay, they're working on the computer over there at the station. We're having some problems. Thank you very much, Keith. Appreciate it. Just had a little note. Deanne said everything just went way down. Well, they are working. We're having some computer problems this morning, and I understand they're trying to get them rectified, and hopefully they will soon, so please bear with us. Hey, the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo, August 17th through the 22nd, and don't forget, coming up this next Saturday, the Dan and Shay concert at the fairgrounds starting at 8 p.m. And if you have not yet got your tickets, I still believe that you can call 678-9150. That's 678-9150, the fair office, and be sure and be a part of this big concert that's going on Saturday night. And then don't forget, wait a minute, not Saturday night. What did I say? I got to check my calendar here. I want to make sure I don't get the wrong date. It is Monday night, the 17th. The script that I had sent to me is wrong. So we want to be sure and say that's going to be on Monday night. And no, here we go. We got two scripts. My goodness, this is live radio. I got one that says the 17th and the next one says the 15th. It is this Saturday, the 15th. I was right, but the wrong date on here. It's August 15th, this Saturday night, Dan and Shay in concert at the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo. Get your tickets now. And then next week, whoa, got that all figured out. All the rodeo and fair action in full swing at your Cassia County Fair and Rodeo. You know, we had this happen the other day from some information that was sent to us. On the one page, it had these dates, and on the next page, it had these dates. And you got to really be watching all this stuff coming in during fair season from all the different fairs and everything, because some people that type these things up, they don't look close enough, and we find that they used last year's dates and information. And so we'll kind of watch that a little closer. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call, and we'll talk about anything you want to talk about. I've got one story I want to get on here because it's very, very important. A mother, and I use the term loosely, in Florida, leaves her children, approximately ages 2 and 4, in an automobile that is running with the air conditioner on, in this case, but she pulls up in front of a bar, gets out, and goes in and stays for a long period of time, having drinks and bubblies and fun with her friends. But the story's not over there. She comes out of the bar and knows that she cannot start her car with a breathalyzer because of imbibing for the last long period of time on alcoholic beverages. So she tries to get the 4-year-old to blow into the breathalyzer and start the car. Fortunately, she has been arrested. Fortunately, she is in jail. But my goodness, what are your thoughts about a mother, a mom, going up to a bar, leaving 2 little kids in there? Anything could have happened in that car. Could have been knocked in gear. I mean, I hate to even think of some of the other possibilities with those little children in there. Goes into a bar, and she is having a high old time. And one of the bartenders, excuse me, noticed the kids in the car and called the police. Thank the good Lord that happened. What are your thoughts about this mother in Florida leaving little kids in a car that's running and then trying to use one of them as a scapegoat to blow on the breathalyzer so the car, I guess, before she could put it in motion or something? I don't understand all the mechanics of these breathalyzers, but anyway, having one of the kids blow on the breathalyzer so she could drive away. Ay, 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 ay. Don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh, Vigo, they've got all your tires. They've got all your tires for your cars, pickups, SUVs, horse trailers, boat trailers, whatever you have. And I want you to remember that many of them are on sale right now, like the Strategy year-round traction tire for your car with a 60,000-mile warranty. Oh, baby. And I'll tell you what, they've got all the tires for all your driving need. And don't forget, too, they've got the best in brake value service. Professionally trained technicians, premium quality parts, and they know brakes. Believe me, they know brakes. Along with all the shocks and struts, front end alignments, batteries, everything, and their service. I know every one of these people, and they are service-oriented. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, John on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and, of course, Randy on Overland in Burley, the best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Absolutely. During the break, I'm going to call over to the station and see how things are going. And, again, I want to stress the fact that I understand from Gina that some of our computers have decided to jump out the window and hit the ground, and they're working on that right now. So bear with us a little bit, and we'll try to get all of this rectified. Coming up next hour, we're going to have my good friend from Indianapolis, Indiana, Dave Bigo, on the phone. And then we're going to contact Dan Kish with the Institute for Energy Research about how devastating the green energy program from Obama will be to us, the taxpayers. Have a good morning. I'll be back in 6, Zeb at the Ranch. Oh, here we go. Hour number 2. We've had, I just want to be sure and tell everybody that the station is working out. We've had calls, and people have been calling me here during the news break saying, hey, what happened? You're all real low. We can hardly hear you and real fuzzy. Well, I don't know. And they're working on it. Poor Gina and Jerry and everybody's over there with screwdrivers and flashlights, hammers, saws, whatever. They're trying to get it all fixed. So bear with us. We'll have the answer to your questions. I know lady just called me a few moments ago and said, we can't hear you. You dropped out of sight and it's fuzzy like snow. And I said, I'm sorry, ma'am. We're doing the best we can. Anyhow, good morning and welcome back to Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with Valley Wine Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert, everything for the farm, the home, and the ranch, and our friends at Western Waste Services. And our friends with Western Waste Services.
Yeah, we're having...
that's part of the problem, too, isn't it? I'll bet you. I'll just cover that, Wheels. You go ahead and keep tinkering with that screwdriver over there. Western Waste Services, don't forget, they can help you with all your garbage pickup and get rid of it. I mean, you ought to get on that route service today. Call them at 734-6969. Locally owned and serving you. And don't forget that they've got the dumpsters in various sizes. They can get right to your property, drop them off, fill them up, and come get them. They are the best. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. 734-6969, Western Waste Services. Once again, we're having some computer problems over at the station, and they're working on it, so bear with us, please. We'll just kind of put things together for you this morning, and we also want to remind you, Ted's Diesel and Electric, excuse me, moving to 635 21st Street in Heyburn, over on Alfresco Road, owned by Doug Martin, and believe me, this man can rebuild starters, alternators, generators, everything, and he also sells brand new. Get a hold of him today. Ted's Diesel and Electric, moving to 635 21st Street in Heyburn. Well, we have just a moment before we go to the phone lines and talk to our dear friend Dave Bigo. I just happen to think every time we have a major problem, it always happens during Dave Beagle being on the air. We'll get him on the air momentarily. Stand by. Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert with our dear friend Joel Heward, manager, family, staff, always serving you with very flexible hours so that they can be there to help when you need them. And they can travel to rural towns and churches to help you with the arrangements when there's the passing of a loved one, always upholding the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Please give them a call today. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Number to call, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary. Thank you. Right now, let's go to the phone lines, and hopefully the computer system hasn't damaged that. Good morning to a dear, dear friend of mine, Dave Bigo in Indianapolis, Indiana. How are you, Dave? Good morning.
Well, I'm doing great, Zeb. How you doing?
You know, remember here a couple of weeks ago, Dave, you were having trouble in your office with all the phone lines, and I think you said it had something to do with the computers and everything. We are having exactly the same problem out here this morning, so bear with us, please.
Well, so far you sound good.
Well, I tell you what, we're having people call. I had a list of calls as long as my arm during the last newscast, and we've got some excellent people trying to fix the problem. So I wanted to ask you about this mess, this absolute mess in the Democratic Party. Dave, what is the infatuation with the American public that they would allow or stand for the sleaziness, the lies, and the criminal activity of Hillary Clinton with these servers, the emails, etc., and also put up with a possible candidate that might try to nudge her for that nomination, Bernie Sanders, an avowed communist? What is going on with the left, the liberals, and the Democratic Party?
Well, the problem, Zeb, is, and I've mentioned this before on your show, I've been through this with the union, so I understand the tactics and how they go about this. And unfortunately, they know that there's a good percentage of the population that's easily brainwashed and naive, and they go out and they talk to these people and they appeal to these people at their level. And, they give them misinformation and lies, and, they sugarcoat it, try and make it sound good and everything. And unfortunately, a big majority of people that listen to this or are targeted buy into it. And the Republican Party and conservatives are going to have to understand that they're going to have to get out in front of these people, too, if you're ever going to change the direction.
But can they? I mean, it seems to me that the media, so liberally slanted towards the Hillarys and towards the Bernie Sanders and towards the left and towards anything they do is okay. But if something comes up on the conservative side, the GOP side, we're the nutcases, we're the haters, we're the bigoters. How can this ever change so that we can have an equality in the media?
Well, you have to go after the media, too, and you have to address them and debate them and expose them for what they're doing. And again, we did that here in Indiana, and when the SEIU was attacking us, they were using the media, and when we went after them and, exposed them for what they were doing, it was amazing how quiet they got on the issue. And, the media likes to pick up stuff that, they think is going to pick up viewers and sell stuff and all that kind of thing. So you have to go after these people and expose them for who they are.
Yeah, but Dave, let's talk a little bit about Hillary and the server system and also the emails. They have found that she's lied. She has absolutely lied to not only to the American public, but also to the Justice Department. There are emails on there that were top secret, meaning that should have never been held on a basically open and public server for her emails, maybe talking about a wedding or whatever, and then all of a sudden, boop, right next door is an email with top secret security clearance. Why are we letting this happen? I don't understand. Like Judge Napolitano said this morning on television, this is a grave, that's the word he used, a grave injustice to the American people. What are your thoughts about this? How does she maintain still being a candidate?
Well, it is. It's wrong, and she ought to be charged, and they ought to go after her aggressively for it. But, with this administration, that's not going to happen. And so, again, I go back to what I said. Republicans and conservatives across the country can't stand back and just let it happen. You have to go out and you really have to go over after her, and you have to keep exposing and putting out there who she really is and what she's all about and who she really cares for. And it's not the American people. It's like the campaign money and other money that she's raised for supposedly charitable causes and that's going in her own pocket. That you have to expose that stuff, and Zeb, you have to do it over and over and over again until people wake up. And and people will if you get in front of them and talk to them. And I'll go back to my comments about Scott Walker. That's how he won in Wisconsin, because he got out there in front of the people and he enlightened them.
Absolutely. Okay, you and I talked last week on Wednesday, and it was the day before the big so-called Fox News debate. All righty. Well, we watched the debate. I watched it intently and took a lot of notes. It wasn't a debate. I thought it was a very prejudicial, here I'll give you this question, and here I'll give you this question, and I thought it was absolutely ridiculous because we really didn't hear from all the candidates, all the issues from their voices and their viewpoints. I thought it was a setup against Donald Trump from the beginning with Megyn Kelly. I didn't think that was a very good question at all to start a debate with. I thought it was sleazy. I want to hear your response as to what you thought about that so-called debate last Thursday night.
Zeb, I thought it was just an opening round salvo, and I thought Megyn was off base. And it's funny, I saw her open up her show the other night and comment about that, and she basically avoided the issue and didn't want to address it any. And that kind of tells you right there she knows she made a mistake and went the wrong way on the whole thing. And I think they were trying to put these people on the spot, and there's a lot of people out there that aren't in favor of Trump, a lot of conservatives. I saw Red State came out against him, and there's another article I read today that I wanted to tell you about, and let me just quote this. There's a difference between followers and leaders, and if you're in a position of leadership, elected officials, organizers, fundraisers, cable and talk radio hosts like you, pundits, columnists, bloggers, and you're actively encouraging the Trump phenomenon, you are neither a conservative nor a Republican anymore.
Okay. I have been very critical of all the candidates, all of them, on both sides of the aisle. I think they've all got holes in their screen door, and I think it's our job to let the public know where those holes are and what they represent. I will say that I think that the way that Megyn Kelly opened up that debate, and again, I use that word loosely, it wasn't a debate, I thought was very low class and should have stayed to the issues about whether it is our national security, whether it is our economic instability thanks to China and others, whether it is ISIS, whatever. I think there were so many different questions that needed to come out. It didn't happen. I thought in all it was a very low class debate.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was just generalities. You're exactly right, and I don't think we're going to, Zeb, I don't think we're going to get to those points until we get this field narrowed down on both sides. And we see, Democrats don't have that many candidates, but, until we get it narrowed down to a few on the Republican side, I don't think we're going to get into that. And, and where they actually debate each other. They're not just fielding questions from the commentators.
Yeah. Dave, let me ask you this, and I know that you're a Scott Walker fan. I am, too. I like the guy. I think he's a straight shooter. But when you watch the debate, and let's exclude Trump from this for a few moments, let's go ahead and mention who did you think really stepped forward, stepped up, and stepped to the point where the watchers on television might have realized this guy is a good guy. I need to pay attention to him. Who do you think was a leader that night?
Well, I didn't think anybody really was a bright star. I mean, Trump obviously was the most vocal in that, so he went after certain things, and so he kind of got the headlines on the whole thing. But I don't know that anybody really stepped up. It seemed like a lot of them were trying to be kind of quiet, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Kind of waiting until this thing thins itself out. Now, I will say in the earlier debate, Carly Fiorina, I thought she did a great job, and I think she could be a good candidate.
Boy, I tell you something, Mr. Beagle, you and I are a lot alike. That's exactly the whole concept I got out of that debate. I watched the first one, and I listened to her, and I thought, what in the world is she doing in the second tier? I think she could have stood every one of the other ones in the top tier, the top 10 supposedly, right on their noses. I thought she did an excellent job.
Yeah, she did, and it'll be interesting as we move this thing forward, because, Zeb, I got to believe that this field's going to start thinning here pretty soon, because people are going to begin to realize they don't have the support either from the voters or the financial support to keep moving forward. As we get into the next 2 to 3 months here, I think when that happens, then we're going to start hearing where these people really stand on these different positions.
Yeah.
And things that we need to talk about, like immigration and the budget and those type of things are really going to come to the forefront.
Does it surprise you, Dave, and you're as knowledgeable about this as anybody I have on my program, but does it surprise you that an avowed socialist like Bernie Sanders, all of a sudden in the latest polls in New Hampshire, a very important pre-state before all the activity starts, he is leading 44% to 37% over Hillary? Does that surprise you?
No, not at all. You look at that area, and it's a heavily progressive liberal area, and it's also a heavily union area up in that area. So you're going to get a lot of support from him in that type of area. And as you know, and I've talked about this in my blogs, the SEIU, who we fought, they're communists. They've marched in the streets of California with the Communist Party. I wrote a blog on that a couple of years ago, and I showed pictures of them marching down the street right next to people holding communist signs.
How worried are you, Dave, that if either Hillary or Bernie Sanders, let's just use some fictitious thoughts here for a few moments, how worried are you about the SEIU and their thuggery, along with that kind of a candidate that may assume the office of the presidency? My goodness, all kinds of heck could be unleashed on this whole nation, could it not?
Oh, there's no doubt. We will see the end of the free market system, and it's going to, capitalism will be gone, and they're going to take it to socialism and communist, and we're going to see people, we're going to see poverty and a nation that's destroyed so fast, people aren't going to believe it. And that's why we got to go out and talk about these issues and what's truly going on. They want to say it's social justice, and that's how they play it to these people. We're there to take care of you. We're going to make sure you get paid more and do all this. Well, that is nonsense. What they really want to do is get everybody at, about the same wage level or the same productivity, things like that. And, Zeb, there's one reason, because it's all about control. When everybody's about the same, there's no jealousy, there's no infighting. It's easier to control people. And that's what this is all about.
I absolutely agree. I want to talk about something else that's really got me worried. And you're closer to it geographically than I am. I have been back in that area many, many times to announce events in Missouri, etc., around that area. Ferguson, Missouri. This is still a powder keg that could blow up, and it's being, let's say, fused by a group called Black Lives Matter. And they yesterday, or day before yesterday, the group Black Lives Matter virtually kicked Bernie Sanders off of his own podium, took away his microphone, and started their rant about Black Lives Matter. I noticed last night in Michigan that Trump made a special comment on this. He said that was a complete sign of weakness, and if he was the president, they would never, ever take his microphone away. Why is the left so bent on giving an audience to this group that's causing nothing but insurrection, Black Lives Matter?
Well, I think it's all because they're looking for the black vote, and and again, it's something you have to expose, and it's going to be interesting, Zeb, to find out who is really behind Black Lives Matter and who is instigating all this, and whether it's one of the unions or one of these other far left progressive groups that's doing this thing, because, typically these people don't just get together themselves. There's somebody behind the scenes that's putting all this together. And I've been kind of watching it, but I haven't been able to pinpoint anybody yet.
What is the main thrust and thought behind that organization? I mean, when Martin O'Malley sat up and said all lives matter, white lives, brown lives, black lives, he was absolutely raked over the coals. What gives this group, Black Lives Matter, any credence whatsoever? I still don't understand what the beef is about what Martin O'Malley said.
Well, I'm with you, Zeb. I agree. Like I said, I think this is just another means of, attacking candidates and getting the candidates in that they want. It's, again, there's somebody behind the scenes. Like, in Ferguson, initially, when all that happened, the SEIU was one of the ones behind it. I think Media Matters was involved in getting people in there, bringing them in from out of state with, getting people riled up and doing that kind of stuff. And what we need to find out is who is really behind these people, because they're not doing this on their own. There's somebody out there that's, getting them together and organizing them.
Absolutely. And through this whole scenario of questions and answers this morning, the one question I saved for last is, where is Obama? Where is the president of this country asking for media airtime to try to soothe and salve the situation in Ferguson and try to calm the people down? He's away without leave. Where is Obama?
It's simple, Zeb, and again, I've discussed this before, is he wants this to happen because he wants to see this country destroyed. He wants to see it implode. And, the more that we have, fights, blacks versus white, and, prejudice and economic inequality and all these things, he moves closer to that, and the people that support him, that want us to become a socialistic/communist country, are happy, and so he's going to stay out of that. He wants us to implode.
I got one final thought I want you to relate to, and you being a former athlete, basketball player, I've played all kinds of sports myself. What in the world could be going through their minds, if anything, in the New York Jets locker room yesterday when the Geno Smith, the quarterback, and another party got involved in a fist fight and broke Smith's jaw, and it looks like the entirety of the season for the Jets is in limbo right now. What is the matter with these professional athletes? They can't acknowledge the fact that they're a very high-profile commodity and they better take care of themselves.
Well, it seems, Zeb, and I was watching an ESPN clip the other night where they were showing pro athletes losing it, and they showed some from baseball games, pro baseball games, and football and stuff like that. And it seems like this country has gotten away from the fact that we need to be professional. We need to address things in a way that we can work things out together, not intimidating or hurting other people. And and I attribute that, quite honestly, to the whole situation we have with the current administration and where they've taken this country, that it's okay to go out and intimidate and hurt other people as long as you achieve your objective. And we need to get back to who we are.
Absolutely. Dave Bigo in Indianapolis, Indiana. God bless you, my dear friend. Thank you for being on the program this morning, and we'll look forward to next Wednesday. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, and have a great week.
All right, Dave. Thank you very, very much. One of my favorite guests from Indianapolis, Indiana, Dave Bigo. Thank you. Right now, it's time to remind you about our Cassia County Fair and Rodeo, some of our great sponsors that want you to attend the Cassia County Fair. Butte Irrigation at 116 South 600 West Highway 27 in Paul, and their new location right there north of Kimberly by Red Cap Corner corner. Oh, my goodness, big per tower rebates from Zematic and huge discounts from Butte Irrigation make the fall the best time to buy new Zematic pivots. Get all the information from Butte Irrigation. They will get you wet. Along with Perkins and Best Western Inn. Oh, listen to this. Don't worry about the drive-ins or the drive-thrus. You stop at Perkins and listen to these delicious ideas. Fresh chicken salad, big BLT with fries. Oh, for breakfast, their buttermilk pancake breakfast. Oh, yum. It's good. At Perkins and Best Western Inn, 800 North Overland in Burley. And last but not least, Streamline Precision, 120 South, 100 West of Burley. They can build anything. I mean, my goodness, from dairies all the way to your storage containers and conveyors for your factory or warehouse, all you have to do is call my buddy Tim. 431-7314, 431-7314, or 678-9204. Streamline Precision, 120 South, 100 West of Burley. The number again, 678-9204. And those are just a few of the businesses inviting you to the Cassia County Fair, 17th through the 22nd. I hear somebody breathing.
Yes, sir. I was just telling you that you have a call.
Oh, well, why didn't you let the cow do the talking? Never mind, Wheels. Thank you, old buddy. I appreciate it. We'll take that call in just a minute. I got to get this other ad in here real quick. Don't go away, everybody. I'll be right there. Let's ride 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley. Yup. Where the fun is sold. Oh, they've got a huge selection of ATVs over there. Knock your socks off. Good-looking ATVs, all the shapes, sizes, colors, everything, so you can get up in the hills and enjoy southern Idaho. Let me tell you. And, of course, don't forget, too, they've got an absolutely phenomenal accessory department. And if something needs fixing, I'll tell you, their service department, second to none. They are good. Good. Let's ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and Heyburn. Yep, where the fun is sold. Oh, and by the way, if you're over there on Highway 24 and that area, don't forget about Cameron and Siemens Insurance. As I said yesterday, I talked to Todd, and boy, they are really serving a lot of people with their life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all this and more. And all you have to do to be protected, all you have to do to find out the information is call them at 436-4424. 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Well, good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
Richard Nixon was removed from office because of Watergate. Mm-hmm. Watergate pales in comparison to the damage that Barack Obama is intentionally doing to our country.
And it also pales in the damage that could have, might have, and may have been done because of Hillary Clinton with her private and personal emails and very top secret emails being on her private server.
Absolutely, and unfortunately, we have a fat bunch of bloated politicians on the Republican side that should have gotten together and tried to get this guy out of office. Now, as far as I'm concerned, there was a bunch of Democrats that had enough power to get Nixon out of office. But we don't have enough power on the Republican side to get rid of this guy that's really damaging the country. And he better find out that right now China has the power to disrupt our economy.
Well, they already have in many respects with the devaluing of their currency and what it's done to us. I mean, absolutely. What they have done and what they are doing and what they intend to do is absolutely horrendous and very scary for every American citizen. Tony, I appreciate your call. I've got a guest that's waiting for this segment, and if you'll excuse me, I've got to get him on, okay?
Okay, bud.
All right, God bless you, man. Thank you. I have looked forward to this conversation for a long time, ever since I managed to book him again to come on this program, and that's my dear friend Dan Kish with the Institute for Energy Research. Good morning, Dan. How are you?
Good morning, Ed. It's good to hear your voice.
Dan, I think we have a little problem with the phone. It may be a cell phone or digital or whatever, but it's cutting out. If I could ask you to hold that really still so we don't lose anything. I wanted to ask you about Tom Stiers. I have got a profound dislike for this rich, wealthy billionaire and what he's trying to do. Bring my audience up to speed as to what his thoughts and ambitions are with the climate change rules.
Yeah, Zeb, and tell me if this isn't clear. But Tom Stier is a billionaire who lives in San Francisco in one of the three he has, I guess.
Yeah, Dan, it is cutting out. If there's another number that I could have my board operator, Damon, call you, it is cutting out. We're not getting anything. It just left us. And so if you could please, Damon, get on the phone with Dan, put him on hold, and find another number that we can contact him on. This number's not going to work, and hopefully we can get him back on the air momentarily. Damon, if you'd quarterback that and take care of it, I'd sure appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
All right, sir. I will, at this time, jump in and remind you that coming up this Saturday evening, Dan and Shay in concert at the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo Kickoff. It's going to be the big concert in preview of what's going to take place all next week at the Cassia County Fair and Pro Rodeo. Dan and Shay, and by the way, if you haven't got your tickets for that concert on this coming Saturday night, get them at 678-9150. And then don't forget all the animal exhibits, all the 4-H and FFA. I mean, everything. The carnival, all the food booths. Oh, have they got some food booths over there at Cassia County. And then don't forget the rodeo, 3 big nights, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. All of this and more coming up at your 2015 Cassia County Fair and Rodeo. Don't you miss it. Let's check over with Wheels and see if we've got a reestablishment on a solid line. Wheels, what do you say?
Yes, sir. I'm getting him on my other phone.
All right.
Hopefully that will be better.
All right, good. We'll be right there with it. And I want to remind you, too, that coming up at 10:06 this morning, Charlie Howell, Jerome County Commissioner. And then at 10:30 this morning, a man that's extremely knowledgeable about our water situation, I should say, for the state of Idaho. On the Idaho State Water Board, former Representative Bert Stevenson. So we got a lot of things cooking here for the rest of the morning. Let's check over again. Dan, are you there, my friend?
Well, I think so, Zeb.
Oh, God bless you. You sound like you just had a vocal transplant.
Oh, good. You know, I hate to get a little jumpy, but, you know, I live in Washington, D.C., and when the phones give us trouble, we're beginning to wonder if the president isn't, listening in a little too close. He doesn't particularly care for us.
Well, no, there is a true statement right there. And, I'm to the point, Dan, that I don't care. I'm going to say what I want. I'm going to say what I feel and say what I mean. And if they want to listen in, whether it's in the new Salt Lake City hub of all the NSA material, that's fine. I'm just going to keep on rocking and rolling, and I'm sure you feel the same way.
Well, we're supposed to be free people in a free country, Zeb, and if it gets that bad, then we all ought to be worried about it.
Dan, I am worried, and there's nobody I'd rather have on the program than you to talk about this. We've got a billionaire by the name of Tom Stiers that's an activist that really wants to put all the American public underneath the thumb of governmental control with energy. We've got a president that wants to see electricity skyrocket. We've got a president that wants to see coal plants shut down. We've got a potential president in Hillary Clinton that wants to make even the situation much more worse for the American consumer. Holy smokes, how do we fight these people?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I mean, it's hard to fight a guy who's a multi-billionaire like Tom Stier, and the fascinating thing about this, Zeb, is, I mean, this is the classic story. Here's a guy who traded money. He's never gotten any dirt under his fingernails, but he traded money and funded, the way he got to be a billionaire was developing coal mines, putting up the money to develop coal mines in Indonesia and Australia for sale, for coal sales to the Chinese, so that they could build up their economy. And having done so and having become fabulously wealthy, he lives in
San Francisco, and what he does now is run around talking about how he's concerned about global warming and holding fundraisers for the president. Seems like every time the president goes to San Francisco, he ends up at this fella's house where a bunch of his fat cat friends pony up high dollars to the president's fundraising efforts so that he can then use the money for whatever he uses the money for. He's not running for office again, at least in my way of thinking. And he is involved now with a bunch of companies that stand to benefit if the president forces us to buy wind and solar, because his companies are heavily involved in that. By the way, 80% of the solar panels in the United States are made in Asia, the bulk of them in China, and the people putting those programs together are none other than his companies. So he stands to become even more wealthy over that. And the president did him a great favor last week by saying we can't use any coal. We're not going to be able to use as much natural gas. And the way we're going to worry about our lights in the future is by having the wind and solar run them.
Dan, I don't know as much about this topic as you do. I read and study it as much as I can, but this is your job every day. Now, let me state this and then tell me if I'm wrong. According to the different books and philosophies that I've read, we are at least in this country at minimum of 30 years away from a light switch turn on of that type of green energy being able to fuel, if you will, our households, our businesses, our factories, etc. It's just not there. It's just not going to work. What about it? Am I wrong on the time frame, or what's going on there?
Well, not really, Zeb. Although, listen, I mean, we're producing electricity right now with wind and solar. But here's the difference. In the past, we used to build a nuclear power plant or a hydroelectric plant or coal or natural gas, and they served us. When we turned the switch on or turned on a factory or went to fire up the heat at our church, that energy responded to the switch. Wind and solar shows up for work when it wants to. I mean, how would you like to run a business where your employees just show up to work where they want to? You can't live like that, and we as a country can't live like that, and that's the problem with wind and solar. That also means that you got to pay for somebody else to work when they're not there.
Yeah.
Because the widgets still have to be made, or hospitals still have to have something to keep the lights on so that surgeons can operate and save lives. And the whole purpose of this is to disrupt the entire energy system and put the EPA in charge of the electrical grid in your state and in every other state around the country so that they can tell us what we can do, how we can do it, and when we can do it. And it's just central control at the maximum with idiocy as its ultimate result. Because let me tell you, Zeb, the president says this is about global warming. Tom Steyer says this is about global warming. The president's plan, according to the EPA's own models, mean that in the year 2100, the temperature will be 19 1,000ths of a degrees Celsius less than they would be if we just kept doing everything we're doing today. The impact on sea level rise that he's constantly caterwauling about is the thickness of 3 pieces of paper. It wouldn't make a difference. You wouldn't know the difference. It has no impact on climate change or the weather or anything else. That's even believing their models, which they're wrong on for almost 2 decades now. So no gain, absolute pain, more power from Washington telling us how to live and what we can and can't do. And there seems to be a familiar thread here. It has less to do with energy than power.
I sit here and I listen to an expert like yourself, Dan, and I just wonder how gullible, how absolutely backward in our thinking the American public is in general, that they're pandering to the possibility of maybes that solar energy and wind power may be able to keep their refrigerator cold, maybe turn on their bathroom lights so they can shave in the morning. We're pandering to the maybes. What about states? What about governors? Can governors stand up and say not only no, but heck no? I mean, where are we going to get some power to fight this idiocy?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, Zeb. Listen, governors are doing it already. We've got 6 governors so far, and other ones are looking at it who've said, "No way, we're not going to submit to you shutting down our state and blaming it on us because you make us do your dirty work. If you're going to make these changes, because the way this works is the states are supposed to submit a plan that complies with their orders and dictates, and then it becomes a state's issue, and they've basically got the states to do all their dirty work. There's a lot of that coming out of Washington, you know. We'll cut off your money unless you do this. You know, the government never gives you anything, but it's got its hand in your pocket and on all your liberties, Zeb, and that's what's going on here. But we've had a number of governors stand up, and after last week's rollout of this thing, which was even worse than the initial one they proposed last year, we've got more governors that are looking at it, and they may have awoken a sleeping giant. I mean, remember, the administration was slapped down on a similar type of regulation, not as bad in terms of its impacts, but by the Supreme Court just about a month and a half ago. They said, this makes no sense. Go back to the drawing board. You didn't even... you wanted $9 billion of costs every year for $6 million of benefit. You can't do that. Go back and do it.
We've got a caller with a question, and go ahead, caller, quickly. Dan Kish is on the line. Please, go ahead.
Okay, the only comment I had to make is I don't know if the public really knows, Zeb, with using this wind power and solar power compared to our generating capacity off these dams and coal-fired units. I don't think they really understand how many and how much. It's these solar and wind power things is just like a drop in the ocean compared to what we're doing with the others.
Absolutely. Dan, respond to that if you would, please.
Zeb, my apology, but it wasn't coming through on my end.
Oh, Wheels, you got to make sure that our guests can listen to that. He was saying that when you compare the usage and the cost factor of solar and wind versus what we have with like our hydro, etc., solar and wind is never going to be able to fund even and keep up with agricultural needs and usages. This is going to be absolutely harmful to every aspect of our American life.
Oh, absolutely. No, your caller's absolutely right. This is one of the problems. Listen, you don't have to believe me, Zeb. I mean, about a month ago, Bill Gates, who is an aficionado, he kind of likes these things, and he's
Evidently, we lost Dan, and Wheels established that phone call again right away. And while I'm waiting for that establishment, I will tell you the weather. We'll have the weather on this morning. Brought to you by Duck Uglies at 163 West Highway 30 in Burley. If you're hungry and needing a good place to go for a delicious meal and entertainment, don't forget Duck Uglies, a family-friendly place waiting for you. Wednesday nights, they've got music tonight by Tyler Buckman. Great entertainment and great menu choices. Always at Duck Uglies, 163 West Highway 30 in Burley. And right now, here is the weather. Once again, here is the weather.
We're having some difficulties again still, sir. All
right, well, we'll just tell everybody it looks like a kind of a repeat of yesterday with our weather forecast. Wheels, get our caller back on the air again, please. The weather going to be high around 90 degrees today, and we're possibly going to see some late afternoon thunder bumpers coming in again like it has for the last couple of days, and then hopefully clearing out tomorrow, and maybe the temperatures dropping down just a little bit as we head on into the weekend. And again, we want to say thank you to Duck Uglies, 163 West Highway 30 in Burley, for the best of food and entertainment. Don't forget Duck Uglies. Yes, go ahead.
Dan is still on the phone.
All right, thank you. Dan, we have had this morning tragedy with computers. You know how they are. And our whole series of computers at the radio station have blown up on us at occasion, and we apologize for you getting cut off the air. So I want to extend that apology, and please carry on about what you were talking about a few moments ago.
No problem, Zeb. I just this is a good preview of what's going to happen when the EPA and the Obama administration gets control of our electrical system. That's the kind of stuff that we're not used to, and because we all take it for granted. But ultimately, what we're talking about here is, again, Washington telling local people and local states that you're too dumb, too stupid, you're not sophisticated enough to make things work. And I tell you, not only are they wrong about that, they're wrong about the plan. It's an enormously expensive thing for no return. And you were asking about renewables, and I just refer you to about a month ago, Bill Gates talking about this. He was asked about renewables as a means to solve our energy issues in the United States, and he said it would be beyond astronomically expensive to run the United States on renewable energy. And this is a guy who believes in technology in the future and has invested a huge amount of his own money to that end, and it believes that we should be looking for research and development instead of forcing these things on people, because the country cannot sustain this kind of madness being directed from Washington.
I'm not asking you to underwrite a certain philosophy or candidate, but of the Republican GOP contenders, who do you think would be the most, let's say, in your face to the Democrats about the energy plan that's not working? Who do you think would absolutely try to tip the Democrats' idea of solar and wind right on its ear? Who's the strongest?
Well, I think, and I'm not trying to dodge this, Zeb, the truth of the matter is anybody'd be different.
That's true.
My God, Hillary Clinton would be better than this administration, in my estimation, simply because I think she's got her feet a little bit more planted, and it goes without saying that I'm probably not a fan of hers. We have the worst anti-consumer energy president that we've ever had in the United States. I've never seen anything like it. It's all being run out of ivory tower academics and the like, and whoever replaces, and I'm going to knock on wood at this point, I'm almost at a point now where you could say that whoever replaces the current occupant would be better than his policies. That's how bad it is.
Yeah, but Dan, if we still got 500 days plus of Obama left, and his philosophy was to fundamentally change America, which, oh my goodness, is he ever trying? At the end of that 500 days, when we do look forward to new leadership, what about all the bad effects that have been set already during his administration? How are we going to overcome them?
Yeah, that is one of the questions that often gets asked, and appropriately so. Much of what they are putting in place, they understand they're only there for 500 more days. They understand that this fundamental transformation has to be done by the time they walk out the door, and all of it in place. And so that's why they're working overtime on all of this stuff. They're throwing regulations left and right. People can't even keep track of which is which. They're putting their people in places of power. They're trying to jam judges into the system so that they can sustain their policies on and on. And the ultimate answer is we're going to have whoever replaces the president is going to have very strong backbone, and the public is going to have to make their wish for change heard across the board, not only with the executive, but with elected congressional representatives and governors as well. And that'll be the time for them to step up and point out that all this damage that's been done needs to be reversed.
Yeah, but one final thought here, Dan, and it's another political aspect of this thing. Even the left side of the aisle, the Democrats, when they go home on a break and they talk to somebody in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, they haven't got the money to pay for this absolutely foolish solar and wind program. Somebody down in Florida in a retirement center, they have no money left to pay their bill on heating or cooling, whatever it might be. That is all going to be called into the respective congressman and senator's office, and sooner or later the left and the Democrats and the liberals have got to realize this was a horrendous mistake.
Well, yeah, I mean, these are people who typically are very self-righteous about their contention that they care about the poor and the least among us. Who gets hurt more? You know, Barbara Streisand doesn't care if the price of her electricity goes up. She doesn't even pay the bill or see it. You know, Tom Steyer doesn't care. He doesn't, it's water off his back. But for somebody trying to make a living out there, raise a family, keep the lights on at a local church, these are real life problems, and they're being exacerbated by their own government. And fixed income, you go down the list of people who expect that at least their government ought not be hurting them deliberately for no gain, no return. And in this case, when we're talking about something in 2100 that won't make a bit of difference, nobody would know the difference at all, 19 one-thousandths of a degree, you've got a situation where there must be some other reason they're doing this, because it sure isn't to stop global warming, because it doesn't do anything of the kind.
Absolutely. One final thought, Dan, and then I'll let you go. California is seeing exorbitant prices at the pump. They're paying $1 at least more than the rest of us. I am so afraid that concept of that extra money is going to permeate itself all across the United States and raise pump prices very unneedlessly, when gas should be way down, in my estimation, below $2 a gallon. What are your thoughts?
Well, California did that to itself, Zeb. California has a way of making really, really bad decisions. And let me tell you, anytime your politicians start talking like people in California, that's time to get rid of them. California is designing a disastrous economy based on the very kind of policies the president's pushing. The reason they're paying so much for their gasoline is because they elected politicians who let them push policies that got them to where they are. And the only answer to that is to make sure you don't make the same mistake.
Are you still there, Dan?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I thought we had a little blank spot again on that computer, evidently. I want to say thank you so much for your time this morning and your patience. I apologize for some of the mechanical and the technical difficulties. Dan Kish with the Institute for Energy Research. God bless you, my dear friend, and come back soon. I always enjoy visiting with you. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, Zeb. God bless.
All right. Thank you very, very much. We are experiencing some problems here this morning that they're working on rectifying. Don't call. Please don't call me anymore. I had a list of phone calls during the 9 o'clock news. They're working on it over at the station. It's a computer issue. Boy, when they want to get all full of glitches, those computers can really act up and cause problems. And it did and is. So they'll have it rectified before too long. We've got time for a phone call, so give me a jingle on the landline, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a jingle. I want to mention also again that next Thursday we've had a lot of calls, and people have said, no, wait a minute, when's Lunch Bunch? Yes, on your calendar, I said the 20th. That's not this Thursday. It's next Thursday at Denny's Restaurant in Burley. We'll have our lunch bunch for the month of August, and Deanna's put forth a lot of effort to make sure that we've got a lot of gift certificates to give away at that lunch bunch meeting. We're going to have gift certificates from a new source this month. Thank you very much to Stokes Food Center, and we also want to thank Hanson Mortuary, Waters Gifts, and more. Yes, with the Aroma Touch technique, along with Walmart and Smith's Food King. There you go. We've got them all, I think, and we want to say thanks to all of them for their help and support of Zeb's Lunch Bunch. So don't miss it, starting at 11:30 next Thursday on the 20th, okay? Next Thursday. I've said it 3 times. There you go. Also, coming up this next hour, I want to say that we're going to have Charlie Howell from the Jerome County Commissioners on our program talking about a new cemetery district proposed for Jerome County. And then at 10:32, I really want to say how much I appreciate this man. He's such a dear friend, and that's Bert Stevenson, and former representative, and he's on the Idaho Water Board. We're going to be talking about the recharge issue. We're going to talk about the water situation itself as to where we are, where we should be etc. Caller, I've got about 2 minutes. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I just want to mention one fact. That it's been 2 or 3 years ago that I talked to Senator Cameron, and he said Idaho does not produce enough electricity to take care of ourselves, let alone transporting it across the nation. Is that the way you understand it also?
You know, I'm going to be having some energy experts on to talk about how we fit into the schematic of things as far as Idaho energy, what happens, where it's shipped, etc. And you bring up a really good point. I'm not going to steal the fire or the thunder from my guest that's going to be on next week talking about that.
Okay.
But, you know, Keith, the whole principle is we cannot exist or try to maintain where we are now on green energy. It is not going to work. It's not paying for itself. It's at least 30 to 50 years of concentrated effort away from being a turn-on type energy. I don't know why in the world this administration is being this stupid to push this on us.
You know, what I don't understand is we have the American Falls Reservoir, and it has enough fall to it that if you go down a quarter of a mile and put in another dam and power plant, you'll be able to probably create almost as much energy as you do from the present dam now.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what,
why
with the
can't we do that?
Yeah, but with the environmental movement,
important to us, and
with the environmental movement as it is in this country right now, Keith, you know the answer to your own question, and I appreciate your thoughts. I got to run to the news, Keith. I'm running late. I got to run to the news. God bless you, man. Thanks. CBS News is next right here on K-Bar. Stay tuned.
And now back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Oh, my. Welcome back. Last hour of Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And along with some of our great advertisers on our list, we want to say thank you very much to Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today, locally owned and operated, 734-6969. And our friends at Valleywide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Everything for the farm, the home, and the ranch. Local people serving you at Valleywide Home and Ranch. Hungry? Boy, I am. Can't hardly wait for lunch. And boy, do I know a great place to go for your lunch today with a great special at the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. Today they're going to have chicken paprikash over white rice with veggies and super salad. Chicken paprikash. It's always good. Yesterday they had the Monte Cristo sandwiches. Monday they had the orange chicken on spring mix salad. Every day a super good luncheon special, along with all the great menu choices at, of course, the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. You stop in and see them today. Hey, by the way, Ted's Diesel and Electric is moving to 635 21st Street in Heyburn. Hello, Doug Martin, good old boy, can rebuild your starters, alternators, and generators. Everything from lawnmowers to locomotives. Big choo-choo trains, I'm telling you, and he sells brand new, too. Ted's Diesel and Electric moving to 635 21st Street in Heyburn. Right now, we are going to go to the phone lines, and I believe we have with us, in all of his great radiancy of leadership, here is Jerome County Commissioner Charles Howell. Good morning, Charlie.
Good morning, Zev. How are you today?
Not too bad. My goodness, every time I get you on the radio, we can't talk about anything except politics or maybe a new jail. What have you got cooking for today, my friend?
Well, the Drome Cemetery is not privately run, but run by a private board, I guess, and they're having problems with funding for the Drome Cemetery, and so they came to the county commissioners and they requested that we sponsor a cemetery district, which we're always glad to sponsor things for the public. And
So we just wanted to make sure that the general public knew that there was a public hearing come up in August 24th, and we'd like the public input to help guide the commissioners to put it on the ballot in November if it's too big, if it's too small, if certain areas need to be out of it, a few things like that. So that's what we're talking about today.
All right, now tell me, Charlie, and explain to me and my audience, what does the words or term cemetery district mean? What does that mean?
Well, it's basically just like any other taxing district, just like your fire districts that tax for services. And so it's basically the same thing. They would have a board of directors appointed by the governors. The commissioners would send the first set of directors' names to the governor. He would select those. They would have 3 commissioners on that district, and then after that, they would be elected every couple of years as normal in the state of Idaho.
Okay, but what does the cemetery district do? I mean, what is its value to the people that live within that certain area?
Well, it's the same problem they're having now. Is they don't have enough income from the sale of lots, cemetery plots, and opening and closing of graves and maintaining the cemetery. They don't have enough money in the coffers to expand the cemetery district. Expand the current cemetery in the city of Jerome, and so that's why they said they needed some help, because they're just not keeping pace with the business. I guess it's sad to say, but so they're just looking for some other funding sources. This is the avenue to do that.
All right, now
maintaining the grounds, purchasing new property, and opening and servicing the public for the requests.
All right, now, let me break this down in layman's terminology, my terminology, and then you correct me if I'm wrong. Basically, by forming a cemetery district for Jerome County, and again, jump in and tell me I'm wrong, you are looking to have it financed instead of privately, but by all the residents within the respective county for the upkeep and maintenance. Is that correct?
That would be correct. The exception to that rule is Hazleton currently has a cemetery district, and so they would not be included in this cemetery district.
Now, is this comparable to what goes on in other counties and other districts? Do most counties have a cemetery district that's funded by everybody?
That's correct. As far as to my knowledge, it is, yes.
Okay. And this meeting on the 24th, basically, what's the message that you want to tell people to be there to listen and possibly vote for?
Nope, the commissioners are there to listen. We're trying to get community input to say if the district that we have proposed is too large, if it needs to be expanded, if certain areas need to be taken out, or just flat out if it's not a good idea and don't put it on the ballot. The commissioners are looking for the community input to tell us where to go. And I don't think I said that last statement very well, but what to do with the cemetery district, how's that?
You know, Charlie, I admire you. You've taken a lot of heat over there in Jerome County, as have many commissioners of the various respective counties around the state of Idaho. But, I can be fun and laugh about it, but when you say tell the commissioners where to go, you really are in a thankless job, are you not?
Well, no, not really. If it really was thankless, I wouldn't be doing it. It has its bright spots. I appreciate all the public input. I really do. The public out there is just great. I enjoy them very much. So it's not a thankless job. I'm not going to say you don't get away from it very much, but one compliment here and there makes up for all the people that have something negative to say.
Is your county, Jerome County, are they experiencing, we've seen a tremendous growth over in Jerome County in the last 30 years with the dairy industry coming in and relatively large businesses moving into the city of Jerome itself. Have you experienced any problems or pitfalls that really you were ill prepared for over in Jerome County?
Well, I think part of it is the current zoning. We've been working on the zoning map here lately, trying to do, the state changed the rules on the city impact, and so we've been going through that for a three-year process, working with the Jerome City. We'll be working with Eden Hazleton next. Some of those to designate where certain companies and businesses need to go, the growth of Jerome and stuff like that, that's probably the hardest part in the last few times. And your assessment of Jerome County growing is very factual. We just finished our preliminary budget, and the new construction rolls was approximately $19 million in the county of Jerome, which is tremendous. We thought that number was wrong because it was so huge and such a big jump from last year.
Well, now, Charlie, you know, when you look at the overall picture of what's going on over there, I mean, now you're talking about having a meeting on the 24th for a cemetery district. You, of course, and the sheriff have been through numerous meetings over the last 4 to 5 years regarding a brand new jail for Jerome County. What's happening on the jail? What's the current factors on the building of that facility?
Well, it's just every time you drive by and look at it, it just gets more exciting and more exciting and more exciting. We're approximately 40% through the project. Most of the glitches that you might think the cost overruns or have been taken care of. It costs us a little more to hook up to idle power, a little bit more money to hook up to cable and things like that. But those things were built into the budget, so we don't have to go out of the general budget and get more money. But it's just an exciting factor. We might be a little bit behind because of the heat this year. They were pouring concrete at 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the morning because of the heat, and the concrete couldn't set. And then, obviously, being in jail, most of it is cinder block with poured concrete, and they couldn't set block because of the heat. So they were doing that in the mornings, and because the mortar would set up too quick. So we're a little bit behind in the construction schedule, but we're still looking for it February, March of next year.
All right. Now, Charlie, what about the county itself? I mean, basically, Jerome County has always been an agricultural county. It's really opened the doors, like I said, in the last 30 years to the dairy industry and other major businesses connected to the dairy industry coming in there. Are you at basically a max for Jerome County, or is there still a lot of room for expansion for more income?
There's more room for expansion and more income, and basically what we're trying to recruit is, as the city says with their sewer system, we're trying to stay away from the wet industries because that's what causes most of the problems. It causes your smells if they're not treated well and a few things like that. So we're trying to recruit other businesses that fit in with the dairy industry that are, I hate to use the ecologically friendly deal, but you know, they're more tolerable to live with, however you want to put them. Wow Logistics is doubling their size on the west side of Jerome, and a few plants like that. They have a foot bath company coming in for the dairy industry that is going to open south of town, and just industries like that. Another plastics manufacturing company. So there's some residual industries that you can tie into that. You know, those are their customers, but they don't impact the community as much as the dairies do.
Let me ask you a little bit about the dairy industry. And, you know, we're pretty blunt and honest on this program, and I knew you have been also many times that you've been on here. You know, there were a lot of complaints as dairy industry was growing and prospering in the Jerome County area. And there were a lot of people that were mad, saying they didn't want them here and they wanted them to not have any expansion, etc. Well, it looks kind of like the dust has settled over in Jerome County, and everybody's trying to get along and be good neighbors. Give us kind of a status report as to how the county is faring right now with the industry, agriculture, etc.
I think agriculture is still growing, and the funny part of the dairy industry is there's been several spin-offs. Right now there's a lot of what we would call goat dairy industry applications. We changed some regulations about a month ago or 2 months ago with advice from the industry to attract goat milking, which is rather funny. There was a company that wanted to come in and build a cheese plant specifically for goat cheese, and there was another company that wanted to do another one like Burley has that would do the goat cheese right there and advertise it and sell it that way. But I don't disagree. We still keep an eye on the environment because we all drink the same water, but I think both parties are looking to work with each side, and I think that's what's changed in Jerome.
What about other counties that surround you, Twin Falls County, etc.? Do you have monthly meetings or bi-monthly meetings with them to see what's happening and how you can all still be good neighbors with each other?
No, I think the last statement you made is very important. It's good neighbors with each other, but we still got to remember that agricultural is its own animal too. But I don't know of any major expansions that have come through here in quite a while. The dairy market is up and down, as we all know, and so most of them are just sitting tight. We've had a couple of minor expansions in Jerome, but no more animal units. And I haven't heard anything from Gooding when I talked to their commissioners, or Twin Falls with their commissioners either. So I'm not sure how Minnecash is doing, but I know there's not too much expansion going on out there. There's still room for it, I believe, in the marketplace, but I'm not sure about the county.
And is there any more talk at all, and I'm probably digging up a can of worms here, but I need to ask this, about a possibility of a regional airport? Is that kind of gone under the rug and forgotten about, or what's happening?
Well, I think it has basically gone under the bus until one of two places comes back and says, we'll sponsor this, because unless Twin changes their minds, which I don't foresee because it's too much of an economic boon for Twin Falls, it's unhandy for the rest of us. But until somebody's, or the Haley-Bellevue area says we'll move their airport, I pretty much think it's pretty much of a done deal, because they have to give up their financing, and that creates other problems. Just like in Jerome, where we've got grant funding for our airports for the ag industry and the sprayers, we'd have to give some of that grant money back if we closed our airport.
Charlie, and the final thought, again, we want to get back and talk about this meeting that's coming up on the 24th. Give us the time, the place, and the why as to why you're going to have that meeting.
It should be coming out in the local newspaper, also the Northside Journal. It will be August 24th at 7 p.m. in the Commissioner's Chambers at the courthouse. We will take written comments accepted on or before August 17th. And again, this is there should be a map available in the newspaper also. I know we posted them like at the Senior Citizen Center. Sorry, there's too many S's there for me. And so you can look at that map and say, well, that's too big, too small. But the commissioners are looking for the input. We're just there to take input. We're not there to give opinions or anything else like that. We're just looking for the input from the public. So we're encouraging people to look at the map. And one thing that I haven't said before, we don't know exactly what the levy would be, but the maximum levy would be $40 per $100,000 of valuation. That's always one of those key questions. We can't figure out that exact number. Hopefully we'll have it by ballot time in November if it gets on the ballot. But that's what the commissioners are looking for, is input from the public.
I want to say something else real quick while you're on the phone, Charlie. I think that over the last 40, 50 years, Jerome County and their fair, everybody said, are you going to go to the local fair? Yeah. Well, I want to really compliment you and all the fair board and et cetera. I understand that your Jerome County Fair is getting bigger and better and more fun for everybody every year. I really want to compliment you on that.
Well, thanks very much. The reports we've received are that Friday night was the biggest night that the carnival has done in the history of Jerome County, and it was up like 23% for just the carnival itself. The rodeo had good attendance on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Our monster truck show was sold out on Saturday night. So the Fair Board has done a tremendous effort, and those are all local volunteers and people that help out, and that's what makes the community tick.
What about the local FFA and 4-H involvement? Do you see that as an upturn growing in popularity every year?
We did have an expanded dairy and beef applications this year. I was just talking to the sales committee yesterday, and their numbers were up. They've got a bigger on their sale day. They sold less product for more money, so they're very happy with that too. The buyers were ecstatic with the new setups that the 4-H had come through on, and so we're still looking at those projects continuing. We're trying to figure out how to do another building down there because the projects are getting crowded again. So that's always encouraging to the agricultural committee and the rigger community itself that people want to participate in those types of things.
All right, Charlie, I appreciate your taking the time to come on the program this morning. Charlie Howell, Jerome County Commissioner. Any final thoughts? Anything else that I've missed? Anything you want to bring up in front of the public? I'll give you 1 minute to give us a final analysis. Go ahead.
Well, we just appreciate the public input, and that's what we're looking for. So hope to see everybody, or written a comment, or look at the map, let us know. That's what we're looking for.
All right, good friend of mine, Charlie Howell, Jerome County Commissioner, and I appreciate it, Charlie. God bless. Thank you very much. Good friend of ours, and Charlie, of course, has been on our program many, many times when they were talking about that new jail issue, and we appreciate all of his efforts over in Jerome County. Hey, I've got 6 minutes here, 6 whole minutes, where I could take a call and we'll talk about anything you want to talk about. Good heavens, let's get somebody to call in and we'll discuss anything. While I'm waiting for your call that I know is coming in, let's not forget the Gooding County Fair and Rodeo. My, oh my, next week it is going to be action-packed, along with the great big carnival and the rodeo and all the 4-H and FFA activities. And then don't forget, right after the rodeo, they've got a band called the Garage Boys Band, and I understand they are really good, so don't pass that up. And along with that, also next Saturday on the 22nd is going to be the induction ceremonies for the Idaho Rodeo Hall of Fame. All of this and much, much more going on at your Gooding County Fair for 2015 over at the Gooding County Fairgrounds. Don't you miss it. All right, calls are welcome and appreciated. Give me a jingle on the landline. I'd love to visit with you about anything you want to talk about. I do have a worry, and I'd like somebody to call me and see if they're thinking the same thing. I was reading a story in the USA Today yesterday, and it was at the bottom of the first page, and it was simply titled, "Forests Are Grappling with 8,500 Gun Incidents." Well, I read this story, and it was primarily about an area over in Colorado to where they've had, unfortunately, some mishaps with some target shooters up in the forest and campers, and there's been some absolutely tragic occurrences up there. But then as I read along in this story, I got the inference, and I want to see if you read this story or heard about this story, that maybe there would be a cutting off of any weapons on federal land. And I got to worrying about that because, you know, a lot of us, whether we're hunters or not, we take along for personal protection when we're up in the hills, maybe a little pistol or whatever the case might be. And the way the story was worded, I got really worried about the BLM and the Forest Service, primarily, exploring how they mean themselves, the Forest Service, can allow use on public lands. You know, when that sentence was in that story about how they are exploring how they can allow use on public lands, it frightened me. Because sooner or later, my feeling is that someone somewhere is going to try to stop anyone from going onto federal lands with any kind of a weapon, another form of gun control. What are your thoughts on this? Are you concerned like I am that maybe that will be a little crutch or a door opener for the feds to say, you can come up and use federal lands, but if we catch you with a weapon, even though it's for your protection, stay home or be arrested. That could happen. What are your thoughts? Give me a jingle, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'd like to hear what your thoughts are on that issue. While I'm waiting for your call that I hope is coming in, I want to say thanks to Wheels and Gina and everybody over at the station. They've been standing there in the middle of the studio tearing their hair out trying to get the computers and everything to work right this morning. And so you can't imagine how frustrating it is when you're working in the radio business and all of a sudden all the equipment goes, and that's it. And so I thank them both and Jerry and everybody else over there for trying to keep things programs on the air. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Maybe I can get Wheels to turn his microphone on for a few minutes. Hey, Wheels, I understand that we are not going to have the break at the bottom of the hour. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, we do. I'm kind of flying solo in the radio station right now because Gina and Scotty have some personal things to go and do, but
So you're all by yourself, and you're praying that nothing else goes wrong.
Oh, I would pray to God that nothing else goes wrong.
It kind of makes you sweat a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, only being 21, it almost gives you a little 21-year-old heart attack.
Oh, I can imagine. I've been there when I first started in the radio business, and it was the old system with all the patch cords and everything. You have not any idea what that was like, and trying to patch cord the right holes to the right patch and everything to make sure you got programs on the air, and then everything would blow up on you, and sit there, and your first response is to just walk away slowly.
Mm-hmm. And see, that's the thing. Everything's color-coded nowadays to make it simple and easy, and back then I'm pretty sure everything wasn't color-coded.
No, we didn't have colors back in those days. We still circled the wagons at night.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, see?
That takes your knowledge, that takes your pure knowledge, and nowadays it's just like, I don't think anybody nowadays could fix a computer from back then.
Oh, my goodness, no. Hey, listen,
color-coded.
Mr. Bert Stevenson is going to be calling in momentarily, and we're going to get him on the air, so just signal me as soon as you hear from him, if you would. And I, in turn, right now, will also tell everybody about some of our great Cassia County merchants that are supporting next week's Cassia County Fair, so stay tuned for that. I want to remind everybody, let me see, I got to get my page turned here. And the Burley Fairfield Inn and Suites by Marriott. You know what? Maybe you've got relatives coming in for the fair next week. Maybe you've got some dear friends from up in Montana, and then you're saying to yourself, holy smokes, if they stay at my house, that means they're going to be in my bathroom all the time. Well, don't let that happen. Just get them a reservation at the Burley Fairfield Inn and Suites by Marriott, 230 West 7th Street in Burley. Number to call, 677-5000. You call them today. Also, our thanks go out to Easy Money Auto, RV, and Repair at 200 Overland in Burley. And, of course, they would love the opportunity to get you into your new used car today. Whether it's a car, truck, van, SUV, RV, motorcycle, whatever, right there at Easy Money Auto, RV, and Repair. Along with also Kelly's Bearing Supply at 1407 East Main in Burley. And I love the slogan, you'll know where you are when you get your bearings at Kelly's. Stop in and see Zach or Brent today, the bearing specialist at Kelly's Bearing Supply, 1407 East Main in Burley. Wheels, I heard your microphone on. Is Mr. Stevenson ready?
Oh, nice. Yes, sir, he is.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. A very, very dear friend to this program, and personally to my wife and myself. I absolutely have the highest regard for him, a former state representative. Bert Stevenson, good morning, sir. How are you?
Hey, Zeb, I'm doing fine, but I'm barely can hear you.
I'm having a hard time hearing myself. And Wheels, if there's any way you can turn up my volume into the phone for Mr. Stevenson, I'm having a hard time also. We are having some computer problems this morning. It's not working right, Bert. I apologize. Can you hear me any better?
Yeah, don't worry about it, Zeb. We'll make it work, and we may just, if I don't hear the questions right or don't give the right answers, people say, well, he never did know the right answers.
Well, I tell you what, during your answer, I'll run out and build a fire and send you a smoke signal with the next question. How's that?
Will do her.
Okay.
Thanks for the opportunity this morning. I appreciate the privilege.
Well, we missed having you on during the month of July, and we had talked to you on a couple of occasions back in June about the water situation. You're on the Idaho State Water Board. Tell us, where are we? Are we still in a danger zone? Are we looking okay going into the fall? Where are we water-wise?
Zeb, it looks like we're going to come through this year reasonably well. American Falls is down, getting pretty low, but that's a normal situation for us. they try to hold as much water up high as they can because we can always release it and come down, but you can never send it back up. And so Palisades, right now, we're looking at about 60% full. Jackson's 83% full. American Falls, the lowest, is down about 31%. One of the things that's happening is Idaho Power has finished bringing their water down from American Falls, and so we won't be passing as much water past Milner that we have been for the last 6 weeks.
Okay.
Probably even back into May.
Well, now, Bert, what about our friends on the north side? Have they gone through some real serious cutbacks? Everything in June looked really bleak for them. What's the status over on the north side?
Well, Zeb, when you're talking about the people on the north side, we're still in the process of trying to work through some, and that's one that I probably won't talk much about today, is the negotiations between the Surface Water Coalition and the Groundwater people. Mm-hmm. Because they're still in negotiation, and Zeb, one of the things that I don't think people realize is that the last probably 5 years, the decline of the aquifer, when you look at the last probably 5 or 6 years, it's been a really steep decline, and if we don't get successful with some recharge, there will be some serious problems. And one of the things that, and I have to commend the people of this valley, of the whole valley, the Snake River Plain, for having the courage to try and work through this together rather than get a judge to make all the decisions.
Right. Bert, would you, for my audience, and also for my own education, would you explain how a recharge works? What are the mechanics of trying to have a recharge of the aquifer? What has to be done?
Well, what we're doing is taking surface water and finding places that we can put it into the ground. Probably for the people of Magic Valley here, the most successful that we've had, and the one that's really given us a lot of encouragement this year, is the Milepost 31, which is on the Milner-Gooding Canal system at Milepost 31. And last winter, we recharged there pretty near all winter. And when we see the flows at the Murphy Gauge, which is the one that's really critical for all of us, because that's the one that if that falls below the targeted days or the targeted amounts, then it could shut everybody down or shut a number of people down till we can get it back up to there.
Now, when you say
so that recharge water goes, we send it out and it goes in and percolates through the ground in there. Now, there are some other places where it's going in where we've had wells that have been used in years past. We put it down there. This is all monitored to make sure that we're not having an adverse effect on the aquifer.
Well, let me ask you this. I had a lady call me back after a program we had in June, and we were talking about the recharge, and I think it's a good, fair question. She said, are there locations with great big old holes in the ground where they divert the water, or what happens? How do you recharge? How do you get the water into the area that you want?
Well, right now, what the Water Board is primarily working on is being able to use the canal systems that we have there. We run water down those canals. You remember back, Zeb, when we put in the Palisade Reservoir and Dam, up until that time, most of these canals run winter water, and in the process of that, in order to have enough water to fill the reservoir, most of the canal companies signed an agreement that they would have a specific number of days that they wouldn't run any water in order to save the water for that. And they call it the winter savings program.
Right.
And so now what we're trying to do is make that so that we can use it. And that's one of the things. I've got a meeting tomorrow in Boise to see if we can get the Bureau to work with us and give us a blank. Okay, last winter, we've almost lost some opportunities in the upper Snake River Valley there to do, because the Bureau hadn't authorized those canal companies to do it.
Now, even though we're looking like it's going to be pretty good for the rest of the year, we're going to have what kind of a winter? What kind of a winter is necessary, in your opinion, to try to fulfill all the water agreements for next year?
Zeb, you and I sometimes are critical of the news media, but I don't know if you heard the one I did yesterday that said that we're in the process of going into an El Nino that will have a more rain and snow this winter than we've had for several years, and that will probably extend at least 2 years. This could be the best news we've ever had.
Absolutely. And what about that? When you hear these reports about this could be the best news we've ever had in a long time, it looks like, hopefully with a good water year and the good Lord letting it snow up in the mountains, you're always going to have other states saying we're going to try to take some of your water. What's the status on other states trying to take our water?
Well, Zeb, this will always be the case. I think we have the laws and the grit in the state of Idaho that the water that we have, that we can beneficially use, and recharge is a beneficial use. The water we can use, we'll never have the opportunity to lose it. And that was primarily because of the adjudication that we've just went through. There's no state that's had an adjudication of that size that guarantees those water rights as being court sanctioned.
So states like Nevada, with the likes of Harry Reid, and also a very scary state of California, due to the fact that they've tried to work with the environmentalists instead of the farmers and ranchers, and they've diverted a lot of the necessary water away from agriculture. What are your fears about what California might try?
Zeb, now this is my own feeling, I have a feeling that there's going to be a lot of pressure on, because of the drought that California's had, that they're going to put the pressure on Washington to allow them to build more storage facilities there. And if they do, then I think Idaho wants to lock onto that and use that opportunity to increase some storage that we have an opportunity here.
What's stopping us, Bert? Is it the environmentalist groups? Is it what is the problem? I mean, common sense says we need more storage. Of course, common sense says we've got a natural resource here with water for hydroelectric power that we could enhance even more. What is the main stop pill that's causing all the problem?
Zeb, you're well acquainted with Elaine, and she has a little thing that hangs on the refrigerator that says common sense is a flower that does not grow in everybody's garden.
I agree. But really, what are the major problems, and can they be corrected?
Are the environmental issues, and people, I don't think people realize that water is a finite commodity, right. And we have got to manage it in a way that we can keep it. I listened to you and Charlie how the cities and the counties are anxious to get new developments in, but they don't always, when they want them to come, they don't always talk about how much water you're going to need or where's it going to come from. Well, and quite often, everybody says, well, the farmers use the biggest share of the water, but they never say that at supper time.
Well, let me ask you about that. What about more factories coming in? What about more plants, quite frankly, like Chobani coming in like they did in Twin Falls? Is the Magic Valley at a saturation point with a scarcity of water and we need absolutely some good hard winters, or are we going to be in a real tough situation trying to get the water for what we have already?
Zeb, I think we have room for more growth. On that, I think we have to ask the questions: how much water is it going to require, and what kind of water? We've got to start changing our mindset, and on some of these golf courses and school lawns and things like that, we're going to have to start using some of that gray water for that. That saves the other water that's available. And if we can get the recharge that we're in hopes to get in. This is the first time that the state of Idaho has ever appropriated enough money, or I shouldn't say enough, but appropriated money to develop recharge projects. Mm-hmm. And I'm so grateful that the legislature did that 2 years ago, that we're able now to start committing ourselves to building some of these projects.
What about other neighboring states? You know, we have our problems, we have our wealth, we have our negatives, but what about other states? I know that Washington State, up on the Columbia, they were drying up quite a bit of land just off the Columbia's banks to the north, etc. Are they going through the same problems that we are?
They're experiencing some of that. Washington, in particular, Priest Lake, we have commitments between the two states of what our water levels in Priest Lake will be. We've fallen below that in the process because of their groundwater that flows into the Spokane River there. Their river flows have been way down, and they want more water from Idaho, but we're not going to work through, or we'll work through those because of what statutes we have in place.
Let me go back to the environmental movement before I let you go, and what I think, and you'll have to educate me on this. I always said the fish flush, the use of water to what they say increase the flow of the river and increase the depth of the river for the fishes. I think that's a total waste of water. What are your thoughts? And if we do get a more pronounced winter with better snowpack, are they going to ask for more water?
Zeb, I suppose that the environmental people will never quit asking for more and more water. That's mine. And when they go out and they look in the reservoirs and they look in the streams and see fish, we got to protect those fish. Pardon me. My thought, Zeb, is that if we get more water, the one thing that nobody's ever admitted to, that the fish return is basically determined by the ocean temperatures. Mm-hmm. And you can't get an environmentalist to say, well, that might be, but it's always the but. But if we had more water, it would be cooler out there.
Really, when you look at the idea of more water for the river to enhance the fish and their growth and their population, Bert, I'm sorry, I can't equate another inch of water actually aiding and abetting the fish population. Where am I going wrong?
Well, Zeb, that word common sense that you used a few minutes ago, who has is it the humans that are more important than the fish? That's the question I always ask. Well, they're here for our benefit, and I'm going to leave it at that.
Anything else you want to tell us about the water situation in the state, and as we go into the fall, anything more we need to know or worry about or be thankful for?
Zeb, probably that last statement you just made. We need to thank our Heavenly Father for the moisture that we've had. Now, it's hurt some of the hay farmers and that, but I can tell you that we've had some timely rains this year that has really helped our water situation out.
Well, I want to...
We control lots of things, but we don't.
Absolutely. I want to wish you a very nice day, and to you and your lovely wife, thank you for being such great friends to this radio program. Former Representative Bert Stevenson, thank you so much for your input here this morning. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Zeb. Appreciate the opportunity.
God bless you, sir. Thank you very much. One of my dearest friends, former Representative Bert Stevenson, and I thank him for all of his input on the water situation for the state of Idaho. We've got to get a weather forecast in here. You know, you probably heard in the background, and I apologize, but my window's open in the studio to let some cool air in, and I've got a great big combine going down the lane between my place and the next farm. Holy smokes, does that thing make a lot of noise. Anyway, it's time for the weather, brought to you by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657. Changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. They are your hometown meat cutter, and they absolutely have everything they sell guaranteed. Check out that hot summer barbecue special for just $199, over 50 pounds of meat. I'm talking ribeye steaks, New York strips, sirloin tips, ground beef, pork chops, brats. Oh my, it's delicious. Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road in Jerome, 324-7657. And now, here's the weather.
Here is your weather forecast as we hit midweek stride. Looks like mostly cloudy skies for today. A little bit on the breezy side, not too shabby, but the thing is, afternoon rain showers and thunderstorms are in the forecast. High of 88 with an overnight low of 63. Supposed to be clearing out overnight. Tomorrow, mostly sunny skies, slightly breezy. High of 91 with an overnight low of 64. Pretty much the same for Friday. Sunny skies and low 90s. And as we move on into the weekend, the winds are going to be picking up out of the west. Sun's going to be shining, but temperature's going to drop to about the mid-80s. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
I don't know if that was live or Memorex, but I'm not going to question. Thank you very much. Gina, good job. Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, I was wanting to ask the gentleman there, are they going to keep the water up in the Murtaugh Lake like they did last year? I thought that was pretty beneficial, or was it not?
You know, I know who's calling, and I'll tell you what, I will call, and if Bert's still listening, Bert, if you could call back and answer this question. Let me ask you this, caller. Was last year the first year in a long, long time that they kept the water in the lake?
Well, it is. I've lived here all my life, but they used to keep it up, and it seemed to have always helped everything around here, especially the wildlife and the fishing there on the lake. And I think it was held up in the lake there in the late 70s, and then when it got into the 80s, they started draining it, and then that would cause dust and wind problems out across there. And I would like them to keep doing it, but I don't know if it was beneficial. Was it beneficial for the injection systems, and did it work better for our area?
All right, I'll tell you what. I think Wheels is on the microphone, and maybe he has Bert Stevenson on the other line. So we'll get an answer. Wheels, who have you got?
Yes, I was going to let you two know that Bert is on.
All right, we're going to answer that question right now. Bert, we just had a caller in regards to keeping the water in Murtaugh Lake again for the course of this winter like they did last year.
Zeb, those are conditions that are dictated by the canal companies. Right now, it's my understanding the Twin Falls Canal Company has agreed to put that on all of these winter recharge sites that we've used last year, and the more that we continue, we're trying to write a longer contract so that we'll continue that. Murtaugh Lake was very successful. We're always happy. It's one of those that's not a big volume, but a lot of little ones sometimes have accomplishes the same thing as the big one.
Well, let me ask you, Bert, how do you equate and gauge the success? I mean, what's the formula? How do you know how successful it was?
Zeb, by the amount of water that we turn in at the headworks, and then what level that we hold it at, and that goes into the ground, and I can tell you, if it goes into the ground, it's going to fill the aquifer.
Absolutely. All right. And I'm so sorry I didn't have that question while you were still on the air, but God bless you for calling back. We really appreciate it.
Well, Zeb, anytime that people have questions, I'd be happy to answer them. And appreciate you and the people's interest in our community.
All right, Bert, thank you so much again. Thank you much. All right, more calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And I appreciate that question from that caller in regards to Murtaugh Lake. Give us a jingle. Come on, I'd like to hear from you. 436-2244. Hurry, dial the phone, and while I'm waiting for your call, I want to remind you about our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations. You know, when I started this program with virtually 1 or 2 sponsors, and then it grew and grew and grew, and made the approach to all 7 of the Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, and man, oh man, it's been a great, great team up for both of us. Thank you very much to all 7 locations for being the major sponsor, and also it gives me a chance to talk to you about safe driving. When I say safe driving, I mean they've got all the best tires for all your driving needs, whether it's with your car, your SUV, your light trucks, horse trailers, whatever. They have all the tires, and they know all the different tread designs that are going to be the best for your particular driving. So stop in and see them today, along with the best in front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, of course, the best in brake service. All of this and more with our friends with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. The best, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, good morning, Zeb. Hey, I have a major pet peeve. A few years ago, our 10-year-old at the time bought a four-wheeler, and we registered it in his name and my husband's. It wasn't long until we were getting insurance offers for this for a 10-year-old, okay? And then we bought a second-hand car, registered it, and now we're getting in all kinds of requests for extended warranties, et cetera, and the only place that these people can be getting this is from our counties or our state. Our information is not safe with the state of Idaho.
I also,
to be chased down.
I want to tell you something. I agree with you because somehow, somewhere, somebody is leaking information, my information, your information. Just yesterday, I received all these. Your warranty is about over. You'd better sign up with us right now. First of all, I throw those in the trash. I am not about to give them any credence. I'm not about to give them any money. I'm not about to even bother with a call. But I know exactly what you're saying, because how would they know all of this information if someone, somewhere, some office hadn't leaked some of that information?
I personally think they're selling it. I think either the county or the state is selling our information. And this, a few years ago on the four-wheeler, I had to really get angry with the insurance company to get it stopped, and it took several calls.
Really? You know,
I mean, we need to find out if our state or our county is selling this information. It has to be a sale. It has to be coming from the offices, and it needs to be chased down.
I am going to write this down, and I'm going to develop a segment on this, because I thank you from the bottom of my heart for bringing this up, because it's so frustrating to me. And I'm getting calls on the phone, too. I don't know if you've had any of those. I had a gentleman call, and I say gentleman loosely, last week on the phone and say, well, this, that, and the other. And I said, how did you get that information? And the phone went dead. He hung up on me.
That's right. Yeah. And they can say, well, these companies are buying that information from somewhere, but it still has to initially come out of our own local area.
Somewhere, somehow, yes. And I promise you, dear caller, I will do some more research on this, because it's very frustrating to me. Right on my desk right now, and if you were looking online, zebbell.com, I'm pointing to it. I've got one of those cards you're referring to right on my desk about the loss of a warranty, so I know what you're talking about. All right.
Thank you. You have a wonderful day.
God bless you, and thank you so much. I appreciate it. Got to run. It is time to close up shop and unsaddle the horse for today. And we'll be back tomorrow morning at 8:06. Don't forget to tune in. Tomorrow, Thursday, we got all kinds of interesting things on Thursdays. And we'll be here accepting all your calls and just having a doggone good time. Zeb at the Ranch, K-Bar 1230, streaming live on the internet, zebbell.com. And remember, the way things were are the way things ought to be. We'll see you tomorrow morning.